Hello guys, welcome back to our channel, but today is just me. For those of you that are new here, I'm Ellie and we're missing Josh and we vlog, but today we're doing a sit down video. Well, I'm doing a sit down video. I'm used to now saying we because I'm carrying a human. You guys want to see the updated bump? Almost 25 weeks, so 6 months. I'm almost done. I think I have 3 weeks. I thought that the third trimester started at 6 months, but it's at 7 months. So I need to finish my 6 month mark in order to be in the third trimester. Technically, I'm still in the second trimester. And if you guys see me profusely sweating and out of breath, is because this Texas heat is no joke. And I'm gonna try to keep the AC off for the duration of this video. So I'm gonna try to go as quick as possible because these cameras pick everything up. So let me hydrate. That went down the wrong path. So as you can tell by the title of this video, I want to talk about 10 things that I didn't know about pregnancy. So I'm gonna go all the way to the beginning from the moment that I found out. So 10 things I didn't know about pregnancy. Number one, obviously this is my first baby, and when people say that like you miss your period and that's how you find out that you're pregnant, I thought that like you don't get any kind of period symptoms. So I didn't know what to expect, and that's why I really didn't think I was pregnant. But I got period cramps so bad. Even after I found out I was pregnant, I got them for like 2 or 3 weeks after that. So if you're like me and you didn't know that, or maybe that doesn't happen to everybody, but that did happen to me. I remember that I had like a day where I was like on the couch and I missed out on an outing because I was like, oh no, like my period's coming, my cramps are like horrible, like it's gonna come down. And at that time, if you heard in my previous video, I wasn't even looking at my app or anything, so I didn't realize that I was already late. But like I said, once I found out I was pregnant, I still had period cramps for 3 weeks after that. And I would get kind of scared, like I'm like, is this normal? Like, does this mean something bad? Like I would freak out. So if you're like me and you didn't know, that's something that happened to me. Okay, number two, how quickly your body changes. And everyone is different, right? But I talked to my midwife and she said that some people put on weight all in the beginning and then you gradually grow into it, and then some people it's a slow progression, and then some people it's like at the very end. So she told me that her, like in her last week, she gained 20 pounds, and that was insane. She stretched and it was crazy for her body to do that shift in just a week. So you can imagine, like she cracked and everything. Me, like I found out I was pregnant and 2 weeks later, like I was already looking pudgy, like the double chin came out, the cheeks were looking puffy. It looked like I just gained a dramatic amount of weight in 2 weeks, which like was hard on me because I'm like, I don't even look pregnant yet. You know what I'm saying? So all this weight, it's hard to wrap your mind around, like, oh, it's because my body's starting to grow a child. It's just hard, like on your body image. And then when you're trying to hide that you're pregnant still in that first trimester, like from people that like I would get comments like, oh, so that's why your face is so round. Bless people's hearts. I mean, everyone's different, but I showed really early too. I already had like a round belly at like 10, 11 weeks, and then I was always out of breath, so that was like a really big signal. Okay, number 3 is learning how to dress but staying true to yourself. I know that not everyone cares about fashion or whatever, but you guys know that that's like a big part of our lives. It's something that I'm so passionate about. It's like how I express myself creatively. So I was like, just because, you know, now I'm becoming a mom, I don't want to lose that and like just be in sweats and like not care. And you want to look cute when you're pregnant too, but you're in that awkward stage still in the first trimester that you're hiding it. So I'm like, how do I dress like myself or find a new style that fits me, yet I can keep hiding this and feel confident? Like, so it was just so awkward. Jeans stopped fitting me like around 9 weeks immediately. I never wore dresses before, but what's cool is that a fashion trend came where everyone was starting to wear dresses and long maxi skirts with like t-shirts and sneakers and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I can stand behind that. So I just like had to basically scrap a whole bunch of things that I wore, but it just felt really isolating because like I would find myself having meltdowns every time I was gonna go get dressed. So then I would just like want to stay home and hide out. So that was crazy. Number 4 is, this is a very important one. So this is like for those that are planning pregnancies. Pre-existing conditions are amplified. So it's really important to like check yourself with the doctor, like your gut health, how you're doing hormonally, are you lacking any vitamins, like is there anything that's hidden in your body that you're not aware of, that now like you can start being conscious of, and like check yourself out and try to take supplements and do like a body cleanse. And this is like obviously if you're planning it. If it's a surprise pregnancy, you have no clue. But something like crazy that happened to me is that I didn't know that I actually had yeast in my body. So TMI, but I know you've heard of yeast infections. That's not what I'm talking about. I had yeast on my skin. I always thought it was eczema, like subtle, nothing serious. Like I would get dryness sometimes in my stomach, and like if I moisturized, it would go away. It was no big deal. But when I got pregnant, like around 8-9 weeks, I started getting like this weird dry patchy scaly skin. It was horrible. I'll insert some pictures because honestly I didn't really take many pictures. I'm like, I do not want to remember this. This is horrible. I was itchy, the skin was turning raw, I was shedding everywhere. I had to see a dermatologist. They were like shook because they didn't know what to do with me. And then also like I was pregnant, so they were like, we have to be extra cautious. So at first we tried shampoos prescribed to me. That didn't work. We tried different creams. I tried all these natural things. I put Greek yogurt on my body. I was drinking celery juice, apple cider vinegar. I was taking apple cider vinegar baths. Like you name it. I tried everything under the sun and it just wasn't working. So obviously we had to make the decision, and my dermatologist put me on antibiotics. Obviously it was a low dose because I was pregnant. It was pregnancy safe. I'm not a fan of antibiotics, but I had no choice because it was only progressing. Like it was on my back, it was on my stomach, underarms, neck, everywhere. It even got some on my face. Like it was horrible. On top of the morning sickness, like every time I was feeling kind of good and I would have an antibiotic, like immediately nauseous, wanting to throw up, like no food was settled aside from the regular pregnancy symptoms. Now I have to deal with like this medication that I have to take. It's because of the pre-existing conditions. So not to scare anybody, but just be aware. And like sometimes you're young and you're careless. Me, like I barely would go to the doctor, check myself out, or like I'll see weird things come up and I'm just like, oh whatever, like I'll just like put some moisturizer. Like no, it's your body trying to tell you that something's wrong. So what's cool is that pregnancy brings everything to the surface, and I think that's a way of like protecting the baby. I'm left with like this honeycomb pattern now on my skin. I don't know if you'll be able to really see it in the camera. It's hard to, there you can kind of see it. It's like a honeycomb pattern after all the skin shed. And at first it made me really insecure to show my bump, and I was like, you know what, this is not gonna steal my joy. I'm just gonna embrace it. I tanned a bit so it like blends in, and I'm like, this is my story, and baby will know everything mama went through to get you here. And they're just hoping that it eventually fades. I know some people have like skin discoloration in pregnancy anyways. Like some people get darker in the neck, darker in the stomach, and then it goes away. So I'm hoping that it's like that. Okay, number 5, because I don't want to make this too long. I'm already sweating. Gas. And guys, like, you know I keep it real. I do not know what happens like as soon as like conception happens and you're like, there's a baby inside of you, but my intestines were going crazy. Burping and farting is like a thing throughout all pregnancy, but first trimester I would say was like the worst. Like I'm like, what's coming out of me? I'm barely eating, throwing up all the time. Like what is happening in my intestines? I really don't know. I'm pretty sure there's a science behind it, but I'm not the only one. I've talked to many moms and like it's just a thing, and like you can't control it. And it's funny because my husband and I were like very private. You know, there's couples that like poop in front of each other, fart, do all this, but we were actually very like conservative when it came to that, and all shame went out the window because it's like you just can't control it. I'm like, how many times am I gonna be running to go hide, to go past some gas? Like I would just be like, babe, like I am so sorry, and he would have to like hide or run away or try not to breathe it in and die. Like it's horrible. It's gotten so much better. Like that was mainly first trimester, early second trimester, and now I'm still always burping because like more heartburn and acid reflux, that type of thing. Number 6, you can plan but things go unexpected. I remember I always said before I ever got pregnant, I would be like, I'm gonna be fit throughout my entire pregnancy. Like, I'm not gonna use it as an excuse to become lazy, all this stuff, which all those things are true. Like, I know people that can do that and have done that, but me, like, I did not expect to be so sick. So I was throwing up regularly up to 15.5 weeks, and I would say the nausea finally went away around like 20 weeks, 21 week. I told you I'm almost 25. So, and still randomly I'll experience nausea if I eat something that I don't really like, but thank God I'm not like throwing up or anything anymore. But I was so sick that, like, I remember the first trimester, like, I couldn't even open my eyes, I couldn't get up from bed, like, and I was still working full time. So I would come home and it's like all the energy that I had went to my job during the day. So once I got home, like, I just wanted to be knocked out. And I remember I felt so guilty because I'll compare myself to others and be like, man, like, they're moving their body, or I know all these moms that were able to stay fit throughout their pregnancy. Look at all this weight that I gained. Like, I'm letting myself go. I'm eating horribly because the only thing that I can hold down are carbs. You just go through this swirl in your mind. I just learned that, like, everybody's different. You just have to listen to your body. And as soon as I had the energy to, now I can, like, give myself grace and actually go. I've done light movements, to be honest. I'm very inconsistent, like maybe like once a week now, twice a week, walking, some kind of Pilates at home, stretching. As long as, like, you're doing your best, just you do you, you know. Like, the one thing I learned is that you can't compare yourself to other people, so things aren't gonna go as planned. Oh, number 7, nosebleeds. So I had like kind of heard of this, but I didn't know that this was like a thing. But sometimes that I vomited really hard, I got nosebleeds, but other times it was just because, like, not from vomiting. And my midwife told me that it's like because your body's producing so much more blood, and like, I don't know, but I would get nosebleeds, and it was a little bit scary because I've never had a nosebleed ever in my life, and I'm like, is this normal? Number 8, early movements. So it's very rare for people to actually feel the baby like as early as like 16 weeks, but I did. They say you're supposed to feel the baby between 16 to 24 weeks, like the first movements. That's like what's common. And I remember I wrote it down. I felt it at 16 weeks 2 days, and it felt like a little snake inside of me. It was the cutest thing. Around that time I would feel like every other day, and then by 18 weeks, like, this baby was already kicking, that you can feel it from the outside, which is insane. So I think it's been pretty sweet because I've been able to feel that connection with the babies from early on, and now it's like there's a party in there at all times, and the baby's favorite time to go crazy is at night when I'm trying to sleep. But this is such a precious time, and I'm like, I didn't know that you can feel the baby or how the baby was gonna feel. Like, people try to describe that feeling, but the best way possible, those early movements, it's like a little snake is inside of you. And then now, I can't even explain the kicks, but they're strong. Number 9, aversions to your favorite foods. You want the opposite. Okay, everything that I liked before pregnancy, I hate in pregnancy, or like is kind of gross to me. And fun fact, I hadn't ate red meat in like 10 years simply because I used to be vegetarian, and then when I went back to eating meat, I just did chicken and fish. Like, red meat never drew my attention. Well, since I was hating chicken so much, I could only eat it if it was like breaded or cut really small and mixed into rice, like something that I couldn't focus on it too much, or I would just be like, this is disgusting. Looking at it raw, heck no. Being in the same room when someone was cooking it, absolutely no. And I'm still like sensitive. Like, my husband was just cooking yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is disgusting, just being in the same room. Anyway, so I had like my mom's steak when I visited her in Florida, and then I've had a couple burgers. I would say that it wasn't like, oh my god, this is what I've been missing out on for the last 10 years, but it was way more enjoyable. It was enjoyable than like grilled chicken, but it's just strange. And then I have to eat like milk and cereal every single night, and I never liked milk or dairy products. I was like really sensitive to. I'm not sensitive to at all during the pregnancy, which is so cool. It's a great change. Number 10, sleep sitting up from the beginning. Dude, so from early on I was already like wanting to throw everything up, so I had to sleep sitting up with like 7 pillows. And then my sister got me a pregnancy pillow, and at first I was like, I don't know how to use this thing, but it ended up being really good as a back support, like additional to all the extra pillows and stuff. I haven't slept flat like my entire pregnancy. I still sleep sitting up. By now I'm used to it and I know how to find comfort because with the acid reflux and the heartburn, it's so hard to lay flat. Plus in this stage you feel like you're suffocating. Like all your organs are being pushed up, so laying flat is very uncomfortable. So I sleep sitting up, and it's really weird sharing a bed with your husband like that because he's like all the way down there. There's like all these pillows in between us, but you make it work. And then I just added a bonus. Brushing your teeth is a nightmare, and this is still very true from the very beginning to now. Every time I brush my teeth, it's fighting to not throw up everything. Acid comes up, it's horrible. Sorry for the TMI, but like, and people are like, why don't you just skip your tongue? I'm sorry, y'all, I'm not judging if that's you, but your breath is gonna stink if you're skipping your tongue, and I just can't. Plus, I hate the taste of food in my mouth, so I brush my teeth like 3 to 4 times a day. Every time I'm having a meal, like I have to like get the taste out of my mouth. But something weird that happened in the first trimester is that like I was brushing my teeth like 6 times a day, and that's when I was throwing up the most. And it was because a weird acid kept coming up, and it would make my tongue orange. And not just related to anything I ate, like I'm talking about, it was just the acid. Like every time I would be like, babe, look, my tongue is orange. Like it was the weirdest thing ever. There's such mysteries. And like I said, disclaimer again, this is my experience, my story. You might be listening to all this and be like, my pregnancy was a breeze, I didn't experience anything like that, you're crazy. But this is what happened to me, and no one told me any of these things beforehand. So at first I'm like, is this normal? I would ask questions, and it's just like, yup, like it's just things that people don't really talk about. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions related to pregnancy, anything that maybe you've experienced that you want to know if I did that I missed in this video, I would love to answer those questions and share more. We plan on doing a Q&A soon to answer more specific questions to like how we're doing right now, our stage in life right now, and if you have questions about pregnancy or like our birth, anything like that. So yeah, love you guys, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye.